A man pulling water from a well hauled up a green dragon. The next second, the dragon actually started talking. "Hey man, please let me go. I'm the 7th son of the Jing River Dragon King. I snuck out to have some fun and got trapped in your well." Zhang San's eyes went wide. A dragon was a creature from the heavens. If he sold this thing in town, it'd bring in a few silver ingots, easy. He'd be set for the rest of his life. The moment he thought that, he spun around and ran inside. He came back with a thick iron chain. While the little green dragon was distracted, he lunged and grabbed its body. The little dragon panicked. It twisted and struggled as it begged. "I'll give you a water pearl. Hold it in your mouth, and you can walk through rivers like it's dry land. Just please let me go." Then the little dragon opened its mouth and spat out a big green pearl. Zhang San snatched it and stuffed it into his shirt. The little dragon spun in panic inside the water jar. "I already gave you the pearl. Please let me go." But Zhang San just let out a cold laugh. "Your dragon scales are worth way more than that pearl." His eyes lit up. He chained up the dragon, wrapped it 3 times, and tied a dead knot. The little dragon's voice started trembling. "Our dragon clan has rules. If you take the gift, you have to let me go. You're breaking the rules." Zhang San just sneered. "I've been broke for over 20 years. Can rules fill my stomach?" Then he shoved the little dragon into a bamboo basket and put the lid on. That night, he tossed and turned, unable to sleep. He kept thinking about how priceless dragon scales and bones were. If he sold them to Jishi Apothecary, he might really strike it rich. So at first light the next morning, he carried the basket into town. Shopkeeper's son at Jishi Apothecary was a skinny old man. When he saw Zhang San pull the little dragon out of the basket, even his voice started shaking. "This is a real dragon?" Zhang San pinned the little dragon on the counter and said confidently, "Of course it is, the real deal. Take a look. How much are these dragon scales worth?" Shopkeeper's son leaned in for a closer look. He ran his fingers over the dragon's scales, tapped them lightly, then said, "Dragon scales can be used as medicine. They can treat all kinds of hard-to-cure illnesses. Dragon whiskers can be made into brushes, and the writing comes out full of spirit. Dragon bones are even more valuable, but I can't afford the whole dragon. If you're only selling the scales, I'll give you 420 taels." The second he heard that number, Zhang San started breathing faster. 420 taels was enough to build 3 big tile-roofed rooms. He could get a wife and live the rest of his life without worry, so he immediately got ready to strip the scales. Seeing that, the little dragon thrashed violently. "No! These scales protect my body!" "Ripping them off is like skinning me alive. I'll die." But Zhang San didn't care. He borrowed a sharp knife from Shopkeeper's son and started peeling off the scales. The first scale was the hardest to remove. He yanked hard at the edge of one. The little dragon let out a horrible scream and its body convulsed. A bright green scale was ripped off by force. Pink flesh was exposed underneath. But Zhang San didn't stop. 1 scale, 2 scales, 3. The little dragon's screams gradually grew weaker. In the end, only a faint whimper was left. The basket filled with a thick layer of green scales, and the dragon's body was a bloody mess. Even Shopkeeper's son was horrified. But thinking about how much those scales were worth, he still gritted his teeth and handed Zhang San 420 taels. Zhang San tucked away the heavy bag of silver and walked out of the shop carrying the dying little dragon. Shopkeeper's son chased after him and asked, "You still want the dragon?" Zhang San said casually, "It's useless now. Just throw it away." Then he walked off without looking back and found a filthy ditch. He tossed the little dragon in like it was trash. The little dragon splashed twice in the dirty water, then stopped moving. Zhang San headed back to the village with 420 taels, practically strutting. That night, he went to the matchmaker in the next village and said he wanted a wife. The matchmaker saw the shiny silver he pulled out, and her eyes nearly popped. She slapped her chest and promised to find him someone young and pretty. Zhang San slept great that night. But early the next morning, he was jolted awake by shouting outside. "The well's dry, the well's dry." Zhang San jumped up and ran to the village well. By then, a crowd had already gathered around it. The old village chief leaned over the well, pale as a sheet. "It's dry. This 100-year-old well has never run dry before. And not just this one. The other 3 wells in the village are dry too." Someone went to check the river and came back with shaky legs. The riverbed was exposed. Only a thin stream was left in the middle, and even that looked like it was about to dry up. This is a once-in-a-century drought. The old village chief beat his chest in despair. In the crowd, Zhang San's heart sank. He thought of the little dragon he threw away yesterday. Dragons control water. Could it be? Just then, the oldest elder in the village came out leaning on a cane. In a trembling voice, he said, "Someone must have angered the Dragon King. The Dragon King is furious. That's why he's cut off our water." The villagers panicked when they heard that. Some started saying they should go burn incense and bow at the Dragon King temple, but Zhang San quietly slipped back home and hid the rest of his silver in a crack in the wall. After that, the drought got worse by the day. The crops started drying up. The livestock had no water. Then on the 7th day, an even bigger disaster hit. Early that morning, right after dawn, the sky suddenly went dark. The villagers looked up and were scared out of their minds. A massive swarm of locusts was flying in from the horizon like a black cloud. They blotted out the sky and someone screamed, "Locusts! The locusts are here." Then the swarm dropped into the fields. All you could hear was the crunch of them eating. In less than 2 hours, the wheat field on the east side of the village was stripped bare. The villagers swung brooms and branches at them, but there were just too many. Some people dropped to their knees and cried out, "Dear God, are you really leaving us no way out?" Zhang San hid in his house, too scared to come out, peeking through the crack in the door. Seeing the sky full of locusts, that last bit of hope in him was gone. Just when the whole village had fallen into despair, something strange happened at Carpenter Lee's house on the east side. When the locusts flew over Carpenter Lee's vegetable patch, it was like they hit an invisible wall. They all turned around and flew away. His 3 rows of greens and 2 cucumber trellises were completely untouched. When Zhang San heard about it, something suddenly clicked in his mind. He took off running toward the filthy ditch outside town. As it turned out, Carpenter Lee had gone to that ditch that day too, but he was only there to dig for wild greens. Back then, His family had already run out of food. But while he was digging, he found something sticking out of the mud. At first, he thought it was a rotten log, but when he pushed the mud aside with a stick and looked closer, he sucked in a sharp breath. It was a dragon.